What do you think comes of the originals? I mean, you have more now. You did the EP, you had a few, but you have more now that y'all have been writing since then. What do you think, and you kind of said it already, I guess, what your genres are, but what do you think your band's identity is?
I think already just having the setup that we have, it's a very unique sound. And I don't know, I mean, we're definitely, the main roots are in New Orleans funk. So I'd say that kind of establishes like the base for like the identity of us, because we all love that style of music. But just having so many people too, it allows you to kind of explore different avenues that you know, maybe 4 people wouldn't be able to, as opposed to like 8 or 9.
Absolutely.
You know, just so many different styles. You know, like, you know, there's people in the band that love Steelt Dan, and there's people in the band that love, you know, Vulfpeck or Tower of Power, or, you know, all these different kinds of groups. And so being able to have that influence of all these different people, I think just it creates like your own identity. And I don't know if it's necessarily, you know, one specific thing, but yeah, New Orleans funk, at least for me, and I know for a bunch of the guys in the group, that's where, at least for me, like I fell in love with like live music through that.
Sure.
You know, seeing people like George Porter and John Cleary and Dumpstaphunk, you know, playing at the Maple Leaf, like getting snuck in when I was like not old enough to do that.
What a noble cause.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100. Oh no. Yeah. And just being a part of that, because that's what it is in New Orleans. Like, if you go and see live music, you know, at Jazz Fest or, you know, Fried Chicken Fest or Po' Boy Fest on Oak Street or anything like that, like you're a part of it, just being in the audience. You know, and that's how, like, obviously, like, life in New Orleans, I think, is.
Sure.
Just with Mardi Gras and everything, and like everybody is kind of a part of it, and so that was very like opening to me. Is like, damn, we could do this, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are or like what you look like, because if you love it and you work on it enough and you kind of incorporate it into yourself and how you do things, you know, that's all it is, you know.
It is easier for us to be able to see live music, and I think it makes it more approachable for some people, because like I was saying before, people start when they're young typically, and you're not always, it doesn't always occur to a child that they could be on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a person, that's a celebrity. It's a different being. Do you know what I'm saying? So to have you know, friends that share the same interest, or to have an older brother, to see him do it first, it kind of hits home literally that, you know, you can actually be a part of these things, you know, and then to make the transition to calling yourself a musician, you know, that takes a while to be able to be comfortable with. You know?
Definitely.
So but it seems like y'all fit together well. There's so many of you. I hope that works out. That's got to be logistically a nightmare at times. You had mentioned the pandemic too was kind of a catalyst for some of this, and that's all I'm hearing, dude. So far, it's been amazing how it revolutionized the soundscape. It's the genesis for people's first album. It's the genesis for I had an artist that did 41 music videos in 30 days. You know, so many incredible things that they would have never thought of before, but they were placed into this situation. It became necessary to keep moving forward. You're going to have to get creative.
Yes.
And I think we'll see a lot of good music coming out of this.
Art in general.
Which is crazy, because it's not something you would think of off top, you know. Like, if somebody asked you, what are the results going to be of this, you wouldn't say, great new music. You'd sound like yes, you know. So that's funny. As far as your live performances go, have y'all just been kind of booking gigs at your leisure? Is there any kind of responsible party within the band for that, or How do you do it?
Yeah, it's definitely something now where we've gotten into where we kind of know a lot of the people booking at venues and have just, you know, sort of gradually over time become friends with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's this number, here's this person's number.
Sure.
You know, they're going to call you about a gig. And that's awesome because now we have issues with like overbooking where it's like people want us for this date and it's like, I mean, I would love to do that, but like we already took, you know, this specific date, which is the best problem to have when you're a musician.
Sure is, yeah.
Is people
right.
asking you, you know, to play and you can't because you're already booked,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it obviously wasn't like that in the beginning. A lot of the booking was Dalton, and a lot of it still is, just because he knows so many people in the industry, and but I've gradually started being able to do that as well, which I never would have thought I would be doing like a couple years ago, because I was more like, I'll just show up and play. You know, just tell me where to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that. But I've gotten more involved with booking and communicating with like bookers and venues, and which is great. I mean, it's awesome. And
yeah, it's definitely essential. It's an essential tool.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I think I guess the first part of that is wanting to learn how to do these things. Your mind's got to be in it, your heart's got to be in it, but after that you realize how essential it is.
100%.
Have some bands mentioned the pitfalls of kind of playing the same venue too many times? Mm-hmm. It's really easy to find yourself doing that.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to want to remain comfortable, and familiarity is a comfort, you know.
Yes.
Have y'all had that problem at all?
I think in the beginning of us sort of playing, we did, but it was more out of the fact that we couldn't get more gigs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, like comfortability in terms of growing and getting better is like the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna want to progress, and playing new venues and new places and for new crowds, I think is obviously the best way to get your name out there.
Yeah.
And just to get better. Like, we went from, you know, the most we would play is, you know, an hour and a half set to, you know, venues like D-Max or, you know, the Maison or 3090, these different venues, you know, approaching us, you know, a year and a half ago saying, we want you to play the entire night. You know, we want you to have your own specific night. And that's, you know, 3-4 plus hours of music.
Right.
Which is, obviously, you know, you ask us for our own night, yes. But we had not nearly enough material.
Gotcha.
You know, so is that a necessity where we were like, okay, we need to learn new songs and we need to write our own songs because we need to be able to...
Got to fill that time.
Fill the time.
Sure.
And that's been like the biggest blessing. Obviously, it was not great at the beginning because, you know, your fingers are blistering and skin's falling off and I can't talk for 2 days. But having to do that and having to suffer through it is like the best possible way to get better because it's...
You're earning your stripes,
yeah,
man.
Exactly.
That's essential too.
Exactly.
If you want to be able to call yourself a musician, then you're going to have to do these
yes,
things.
It's all about the struggle. You know, you get better. That's the only way to progress.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, playing new venues and, you know, bigger venues and festivals and different stuff like that. You know, you have to be at the point where, you know, a 3-hour, 4-hour show is like easy, you know, or it's not something that you would think about.
How common is that? How common is that for y'all to have to play that?
Pretty common.
Length of time. Really?
Pretty common. That's pretty much all of our shows. The past year or so have been about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, which is, you know, it's on Frenchman Street too. It's very different because, you know, you go to a bar like D-Max and there's not as much foot traffic, obviously, as somewhere near the French Quarter, and so you're playing for 3 hours on Frenchman Street, and, you know, people are filing in and people are filing out, but like being able to kind of hold people's attention has been something that we've kind of started to figure out a little more how to do that and how to keep energy up, and when to maybe bring it down a little bit, or but yeah, that's been the best thing that's happened to us, is just having to play these long shows.
Are you using it since you have so much time? Are you using some of that time as kind of like a litmus to see how new material will go over?
100%. Yeah, so that was kind of the basis for like us doing like the live EP. Just trying to get these songs up to par enough to where we've played them live 40 times, and they're tight and everyone has a specific part, so that when we go in the studio to record, we're literally, it's no easy, and we're not writing parts, we're not figuring out maybe do this here and maybe don't do that here. We've kind of, through trial and error and also through just like practicing together, kind of have already figured all that out, which is great. And that's the beauty of like a 3-hour show, because there's 150 people in the venue, and you play one of your own songs and it responds well to people, and they're like, man, who's that song by? It's like, yeah, that's us. But
do you do it like that? Like sideways too?
But like and then also sometimes like we've used that to like try out a new song. Like the other day we were at D-Max playing a show, and we hadn't played this brand new song that we wrote live in front of anybody, and there's like 4 people there, and then it's like, all right, well, this
can't hurt.
Yeah, and it matters obviously, because it's practice, it's getting the work in and reps, and but it's the pressure's off maybe a little bit more, and that kind of gives you a little more opportunity to maybe maybe I'll try this out, this part that I didn't, so.
Do you so all of this material, the EP and the album and your shows and all these things have kind of fell into place out of necessity. Do you think that there's any sort of strategy for the exposure of new material versus what you release? And I don't know if I framed it up very well in a question, but I'll give you, for example, some entertainers, they'll save certain material to be recorded, but they can't release that until they at least tour for a while, because otherwise people are showing up to hear stuff that they already heard. You want a kind of a healthy mixture, I think, at a show. So do you have any kind of strategy for what you're releasing and what you're playing live? You're just doing it all right now, I guess, but in the future, let's say. So for the EP specifically, we are obviously, we're based in New Orleans, and we play mainly in New Orleans right now. So a lot of this, the month of February is going to be based around Mardi Gras, and we have some very exciting gigs lined up for that. That will get us a lot of exposure, and so we're kind of right now aiming for releasing it right before then, and we're going to be doing the Crew de Vue ball, playing the ball, and then we're doing a gig on top of a float in the Crew of Mad Hatters. Awesome.
And possibly a couple other things as well in that month. And so we're trying to just like kind of blast, social media and that kind of stuff around that month to be our release for the new stuff.
In February?
In February, and also, or I guess the end of January, we're shooting for, to be able to have it out for when we go to the ball, to promote that there, with people, hopefully already gaining some interest from our set at the, at the ball with the crew there.
Yeah.
A lot of, drunk and disorderly people hopefully will be very interested, and
liberal with the funds.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with the the float, in Metairie, kind of tapping into a couple of different areas, and spreading out a little bit, and being able to kind of touch down in you know, a couple different like markets, I guess.
Sure. Are you playing this material that's about to be released? Are you playing that now live?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. And that was we recorded in October, and so a lot of, you know, the summer and the months leading up to that was kind of us trying to figure out, like I was saying before, different parts for different songs, and just working them up to be able to go into the studio and kind of get them done, lay them down really easily, and so we've been just keep, you know, hammering those same songs, you know, just to get them tighter and just to play them more and work them into different spots in the set, you know. So yeah.
And moving forward, it sounds like maybe a lot was based around a lot of your movement was based around marketability, and timing with Mardi Gras and things like that, to kind of, I guess, help promote that release.
Yeah, and it's been something that we have the ability to actually think about more. You know, just like, when do we want to actually release this, or like when, you know, because we didn't have it before, so it gives you a, you know, you have to make it. You don't have to, but we like to make it something that's special, you know.
Right. It's like a tethered to an occasion special, or it is its own occasion special.
I think a little bit of both, but definitely, you know, if you're playing live like we do a lot, you know, just being able to say like, hey, we're gonna have this out, you know, and literally tell people instead of, you know, just on, you know, it's great to post it on social media and stuff like that and let people know, but not everybody's gonna see it, you know.
Right.
Not everybody that follows you looks at all your posts or reads the whole post, you know.
So you got a specific date?
Not as of yet.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were alluding to. No, you had a specific date.
Yeah, we're still in the process of mixing it all. We were working on some earlier, just and then I'm probably gonna do some vocal stuff later tonight, and just, you know, we're still just kind of working it up and trying to get it right, just because we want to, you know, I mean, you don't want to release something that's not ready, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's the plan. Out the end of January. That's
okay.
It's
all right.
more solid than.
I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I'm calling you at the end of January. Like, where's this at, dude? I thought we had an agreement.
Yeah.
We'll call it a carnival release.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Carnival season. That's all season. That's
there you
awesome.
go.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best on that.
Yeah.